Buonasera, buongiorno, hi everyone. Thank you so much for spending this hour of your Saturday today with Carlo, Parodi, and me. And I'm so thrilled to welcome Carlo today. He is not an art historian or an art restorer, but he's actually a dreamer, an entrepreneur who is a mover and a shaker, and he makes things happen. So, Carlo, how are you today?
I'm very, very good, and I would like to say hello to everybody because I see so many people from every place in the world, and so I'm very, very happy to be with you here. I'm in Italy, as you know. I'm fine. It's a bit cold here as well, but who knows? Today is starting the carnival, so we need to be positive. We need to top up our mood, and to be with all these people online with us. I think also Giacomo Casanova would be very happy about this, definitely.
Yeah, I think he will be touched to know that there's so many people who still want to hear about his life and maybe know some secrets about him, but we will go into that in a bit. Carlo, I think one of the really big pleasures for me when I would go to Venice was to always be able to visit your museum, because even though Venice has so many museums there, there is also so many places where actually you don't get a sense of what it was to live in Venice, maybe back in the past. So I think you did such an amazing job to actually recreate that, at least the 18th century Venice in the museum. So maybe what I will do is I will first of all ask you your love for Casanova and how did that start?
This is a very interesting and good question, because I think it should take a lot of time to tell you about the love for Casanova, the interest, the passion I have about this incredible character. But I will try to be as maximum possible, concentrate and tell you exactly what was my inspiration since many years ago, when I was like 15, 16 years old. I started to read books, to watch movies about Casanova. And, it was very interesting for me because I saw in him a personage which was not of his period. So he was like ahead of the period. So he had a vision much stronger than all the other people of his period. And this was inspiring me a lot, because I said, how is possible this person was capable to be in the most important places in Europe, with the most important people, was capable to talk about any kind of arguments. He was very clever, very prepared also in terms of languages, because he spoke different languages. So I was very attracted, and not just because he was so much lucky with women, he got so many experiences in his life. This is too easy to say that. No, not at all. I'm going to go much deeper inside this incredible character. And then I started to study, books by books. I made research. I traveled as well in different places where he has been, in order to discover something which is not, let's say, so easy to have unless you go in place. And of course, Venice was the most important place to go for me, even easy to arrive. And I made a lot of interesting meeting, Paula, with people who loved and still loves Casanova and his history. So for me, it was incredible. And I was like a spongy. I wanted to get more and more and more information about him. I think it's really a character which could be today, if would be with us, of course, will be for sure some successful person, and with potential to communicate with everybody around the world, because was a big communicator as well. And his history, his life, so it's the most important thing we have about him. And so thanks to this, I decided to dedicate part of my project, of course, and my passion. And I couldn't stop to learn about him. And even today I'm learning and searching something unknown information or some important details which was not written in any book yet, because I'm in touch with many Casanovian people who study Casanova and collectors as well. I know there are also many in the United States collecting books and other objects that belong to him and connected to him. So I'm very proud to be passionate so much about Casanova, definitely.
Carlo, you know, you're so right. I mean, he was so many different things in his life. He was a doctor of law, violinist in the theater,
Musician.
He comes up with the idea of a national lottery.
Philosopher.
Yes.
He was really and he was also a secret agent for the people who doesn't know maybe. He was like our James Bond. Today we have James Bond in TV, but he was really a James Bond in his period. And he worked for Venetian Republic as a secret agent. So he had really an incredible life. I think so many people would like to have so many experience in a life like he had. And so I think he spent a really incredible experience in his life, and he died really happy. I'm sure about that.
Yeah. We prepared some images for everyone today that we can share with everyone. I think it's going to be such an interesting, you can go very quickly through these. And I think that, well, let's see. Do you all see my screen? So Giacomo Casanova and his Venice. I mean, what an honor to do this today, Carlo, with you. So one of the first images you sent me was this portrait of Casanova, who was born on April 2nd, 1725, and he died on June 4th in 1798 at the age of 73, correct?
Yes, correct, 73.
And this was done by his brother. I didn't know his brother was actually a painter.
Yeah, he was a painter, Francesco Casanova, and this is a very nice portrait about Giacomo Casanova made by his brother. Today is visible in reality in Moscow, in Russia, at the Historical State Museum. And yeah, it's very nice because probably it's the only one portrait who is showing exactly the profile of Giacomo Casanova, because as you know, there are many paintings around, many portraits, but this one, because was done by his brother, I assume, and a lot of people assume that is the most one realistic, who is reproducing really the profile of him. So it's very, very interesting. I saw directly, of course, in Moscow myself as well, but also this picture you posted, it's really a good quality. And so also the people can see it. And I mean, it's very nice portrait. And he did also other interesting paintings, which are not easy now to find because I belong to some specific collectors, which they are too much jealous and they don't want to show. But there are also interesting paintings always done by Francesco Casanova. Let's say that he was the only one brother really close to Giacomo, because his family was a bit complicated. As you know, he got 2 sisters and 3 brothers. And Francesco was the one who remained closer to him. They remain in touch, even if we're not in the same place where they lived, but was the only one closer to him. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised to find that he was actually really good in painting battle scenes. So it seems that his paintings are actually not really portraits. I think he does this for his brother, but actually his livelihood was painting scenes of different battles in Europe. And then there is this one, which you have used really as the poster for your museum.
Yeah, this is a very nice painting, even if a lot of collectors and people studying about Casanova, they are not 100% sure this is his, let's say, his face, I mean, because comparing to the one who did Francesco, his brother, there is some details which are not matching. But of course, it's a beautiful painting, has a value. I know the collector who has in his home is Italian. Of course, I don't say the name for logic reason, but I have been invited by him and his apartment, and was like to enter in a church because this painting was exactly in the middle, and he's spending probably 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, he told me in a secret way, looking, admiring this painting and dreaming and reading about Casanova. Yeah, it's a beautiful painting, and I reproduced one which I had in my museum at the end of the museum. You have this just to remember him.
Carlo, how, tell us a little bit about this idea to open the museum. How long actually did it take to, for that to come to reality? And we will have a little virtual tour of the museum in a bit.
But let's say, first of all, I would like just to specify why I got this idea, because it's not a normal idea to decide in one day to do a museum. So, but as you know, I'm a very dreamer person, visionary, and a bit interesting to do sometimes something new. So I decided to visit again Venice once more time, and I saw that was nothing really done dedicated to him, celebrating him, any monument, any, of course, museum, any calle or any square. And even sculptures, not at all. So I was really a bit surprised because, come on, Giacomo Casanova is the most famous Venetian in the world, even now is. And so it's like a legend for many people. But I was surprised because nothing happened in Venice. And then after I made my research, I said, this is a sign, I need to do something. And why not to create a museum? A lot of people told me, this is crazy idea, Carlo, what are you talking? It's not easy, it's quite complicated, especially in Venice, which is a super, let's say, red tape place. Italy is already complicated by itself, but Venice even more, because it's like a state inside the state. So was really, but you know, I didn't want to give up. My idea was to do it. So I started to talk and to get some people around me who started to believe in the same project. And then we found the place, because the most important was to, of course, to find the palace where to organize the museum. Then we decided to prepare the project in December 2017. So it was ready in 1 month and a half. And then in January, we started to work. Just imagine, my dream was to open this museum 2nd of April 2018, because it was a birthday of Casanova. And I wanted to do like a present to his life, to himself, during, of course, the birthday. And was extremely, you know, difficult to create a museum from zero in 3 months, because we started beginning of January with so many complications, even just simple complication to transport, because as you know, in Venice, you need to go everything by boat to transport the thing on the water. So a lot of documents to do, to create, to get approval. So really a big project with a lot of efforts. But at the end, even working in the night, honestly speaking, we were able to realize this dream and to open the museum for the first time in the world about Casanova in Venice, which was his, of course, native city.
Incredible. It was so quick. I mean, you know, I think that can happen like in Las Vegas, but to think of the city of Venice where everything is so rooted in tradition.
In Las Vegas would be much easier, believe me, Paula, much easier. But in Venice, you know, was like a challenge, and then we wanted to go ahead till the end. This is a beautiful picture you are showing me, is Palazzo Malipiero. As you know about Casanova history, is a part of his life when he was young, and he spent a lot of time inside this beautiful palace, which actually is the place of my museum today. Unfortunately, as you know, and everybody know, because of COVID, this pandemic, we were obliged to close. Almost everything is closed in Venice. We are closed as well, and we don't know when will be possible again to reopen, unfortunately. So for the first time, we are living this kind of virtual carnival, which is something strange, but this is where we are today.
Yeah.
And this palace is incredible palace. I don't know if you have been there, Paula, but
You know,
I don't
actually,
remember.
by pure coincidence, I stayed in the hotel right to the side, right door, basically, of it. So I have seen this part of the palace actually on the Grand Canal.
Yes, this is front Grand Canal, exactly. And it's a huge palace, and Casanova spent, again, part of his life there because he was invited by Malipiero, the owner of the palace in the period. And something happened during the time he spent there because Malipiero had a beautiful woman, Teresa, inside this palace, living with him. But of course, with the charm of Casanova was a problem. And so he decided to ask him to leave the palace forever. But it was a long story, this palace. And he born exactly behind this palace. Exactly, you see, this is the plate on the palace. Is a marble plate where is written Casanova when burned in 2nd of April 1725. And this is a small calle. Now the name is Calle Malipiero, as you see. But before, in period of Casanova, 18th century, the name was Calle della Commedia. Now, after some period, they changed the name. So today is Calle Malipiero. And yeah, this is, just imagine, it's the only one plate just remembering him, which I discovered, of course, around Venice. So it's really incredible, but this is the only things remembering him before I decided, of course, to dedicate a museum to him.
Yeah, interesting, you know, how much the memory of him is intangible. Everyone kind of has the sense of this man, like, you know, his magic is everywhere.
But, you know, everything started from this plate because when I was there looking this plate, I spent potentially 45 minutes, 1 hour, just thinking what to do about Casanova, and I was watching this plate. And I didn't expect arrive a lot of tourists with guides from Venice who wanted just to take a picture with this plate on the back. So in my side, I said, if the people are so much interested just to come for a plate, I could imagine that could be much more interesting to come for a museum. So this was the inspiration starting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, interesting. I think it was Casanova kind of like pulling your hand, hey, do this.
Could
So,
be, could
Carlo,
be.
this is take us through the rooms of the museum that I had the pleasure to visit many times.
This is this is one room in the museum. You see in the corner there is a beautiful blue gentleman dress used in the 18th century, and this is particular because it was used during the last movie Hollywood production in 2005 with the actor Ed Ledger, as you know, and it was used. This is one of the dress it was used and was prepared. I mean, it was made by Nicolau, which is a very important and famous atelier in Venice, and he was providing, of course, the costume for this interesting production, which was the last one dedicated about Casanova. Who knows, maybe will be a new one in the future because I heard some project around. And this is beautiful. We put inside a teca just to protect it. Now by picture it's difficult to see the details, but there are some small details which are shining like a gold. Really beautiful costume. And you see also the wig, and of course this is just a wig, just as an example. We have the shoes, but the most important is of course the dress, the costume itself. Then beside, as you see, there is also a cortigiana dress of the period, made as well by Atelier Nicolau.
I think it's incredible. He actually just wrote this morning to say hello. He's very happy that you're doing this. So yeah, I think anyone who comes to Venice should visit Nicolau's studio. I think it's really a beautiful piece of Venetian history, isn't it?
Yes, incredible. But Venice is so much rich of history that you can always spend time and time there, and to be always attracted and surprised.
Carlo, I loved how much of the new media, you really have used a lot of the virtual reality in the museum as well. And you also have a part of the exhibition like this, where you have these incredible objects as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks God, I was able to be in touch with a lot of collectors who loved Casanova as well, like me. So they decided to give me part of the items, of course, not for free. Okay, this is the letter. This is a original letter written by Casanova. And with this one, I was obliged to purchase because it was not possible to have just for exhibiting. And this is dated 1783. And now it's difficult to read, but I tell you in a few words the meaning of the letter. This is a letter Casanova is sending to a rich person in Vienna because he borrowed some money, 45 florins in the period to Giacomo Casanova because was in troubles. And then he's giving this letter to Francesco, the brother, saying, my brother Francesco is coming to Vienna to visit you and to give you the money back you gave me with your kindness. And I thank you really very much. And always your slave, you know, they used to say like this, to say, you know, always your slave, Giacomo Casanova. It's very interesting because, again, as I told you one time in one of our interesting conversation, the letter, maybe you could see there are a lot of dots which are not connected with the writing, but because usually the people like Giacomo Casanova, which was a big writer, they spent a lot of time on the carriage, moving from one city to another city. And as you know, the roads were not like we have today, so flat and comfortable, but were full of holes. And so up and down the carriage, automatically, while writing, was putting some dots, even if it's not the sense to put. But this is why the explanation is interesting. Also the paper, because it's a completely different paper that we are today we are using. And this is an amazing letter. Yeah, everybody are quite happy and excited to see it. But I know you saw it when you visited,
Carlo,
so you could say the same.
I did, and I love that, you know, the one letter you have of Casanova is presenting him as a really honest man who actually returned his debt, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So here is
Yeah.
the detail. Yes, this is it, correct?
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
I see 45 florins, yeah.
Yeah,
And,
it's not easy to read.
and I love this. Tell us about this. This was your idea, correct?
Yeah, this was my idea because, you know, Casanova was an incredible writer. Everybody knows he wrote Histoire de ma vie. So what was the most interesting things to communicate to the visitor was to have a lot of papers flying because to show that he wrote so many pages in his life. And then, yeah, this was my idea, and I think it's original to communicate what I wanted to communicate to the visitors regarding Casanova and his writing experience.
And how cool that even though he was such a busy man, you know, going around and flirting with all the women, he still finds time to actually sit down and write parts of his life, which is really, really cool because this is going to be his living legacy, right? Otherwise, he would have been completely forgotten.
No, it's very important his book because even, you know, in France, school are studying him. He's part of the school. People, kids are studying about Casanova, and thanks to Histoire de ma vie is the very big information regarding 18th century for our let's say for our school, for our experiences, where you can get a lot of things happened in that period. So he was writing about everything. So there are many, many details inside. And if somebody has patience to read all this incredible big book, we learn a lot of things.
Yes.
And many people are inspired about this.
You know, it's interesting because I read that the National Library of France bought the manuscript in 2010 for $9.6 million.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Carlo, I hope you paid only a portion of that for the letter. And tell us about this. These objects are extraordinary.
Yeah, this is an interesting object because now, today we have so many things to play, to spend our time with telephone, with TV. But in the period of Casanova, of course, was important to play at the table with cards, and those are fish used for playing. This is in a mother pearls, original mother pearls fish used in 18th century, probably in the period exactly of Casanova, and are coming from Paris, from a collector there. And beside, you see also some coins of the period, and the glasses. About the glasses, there is a very interesting, nice story, because in Venice, depend which kind of glasses you wear, especially for women, of course, you were able to communicate something. So, the frame could be in silver, could be in gold, or could be in a normal metal, maybe brown color. And so if you wear, for example, the brown color, it means that you are open for, let's say, speaking and to have company. Let's say, I'm open. Silver, it means that you are able only for conversation, nothing else. And gold, I'm untouchable, leave me alone. So this was very interesting, because it's like a traffic lights, So before to approach a woman, a man knew is green, is orange, or is red. So without losing the face, was very smart, I think, in this period. And yeah, this is an incredible story.
Oh my gosh,
Which
love
I
it.
learned.
And these objects are, so precious because they tell such an incredible story of the people. And you can imagine whose hands held these coins, and yeah, just really, I think makes you dream. And then this is the last picture we have of the museum.
Of course, we couldn't have a bed, because it was part of his life, definitely. So we reproduced a bed of the period, and you see on the left side now is a static picture, so it's not moving, but it's a video in which there are a man and a woman. They are playing before to approach for an intimate moment, because was very different than what we are living today. So the intimate moment we have today is completely different. So before, they were playing with hands, touching face, hands by hands. So they were like dancing on the bed, but just to get closer and closer. And so we just reproduced some part of this moment just to let people understand what was the life in the room in that period.
I love it. Every room was a new discovery, definitely. And I love the virtual media where you can actually put these glasses on and see
Yeah,
the world of
this was a very great idea, I think, and I insisted to have it, even if it was too much technology, people say to me, but I think we are approaching to the future, and technology we need to use, especially for a museum like Casanova, because Casanova was an incredible character, and his life is the opera. So we need to show his life. So it's not like a painters that you display the paintings for a museum. Here you need to tell about his life. So the best idea was to involve, to immerse the visitor through these VR glasses to be Casanova just for 5 minutes, and his 360-degree experience. So really incredible. I think you tried when you visit the museum, and so you could say as well.
Yes. This portrait of Casanova by Alessandro Longi, I think, is also quite interesting, and gives us the idea of this man who is really a life of a party and wherever he would go. And Venice does have an incredible location, which is this Giotto Venier,
Yeah.
which still has all of the original decorations on the wall.
This is the only one place remaining in Venice with original interiors of 18th century. Incredible place. Casino Venier, yeah. And I think, yeah, go ahead.
Casanova probably would have visited this place
Of course,
after all the other casinos in the city would close.
Of course.
They open all
He
night.
has been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love this area here above the doors. There's these, I actually have a detail. This is where the musicians would
The
actually
musicians, yeah,
sit.
they were sitting there behind. Nobody see them, but is coming the music outside.
Yeah.
So it was incredible.
And I think a really cool detail to show us how protective this environment was, there was actually one of the tiles on the floor
Yeah.
could be opened
This
up.
is a secret, is a secret tile that you remove when somebody knocked the door down. You remove from the first floor this tile and you see down who is. Was like a camera that we have today. In this period, the camera was natural like this. So they spy from the floor who was at the entrance, if he was, of course, invited or not, to allow him to enter or not.
Yes, yes. And I think there was also a secret escape which you know, they could all disappear from this. Really, actually, it's a very tiny space too when you get to see it. So it was really a limited number of people who would be allowed to go in.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
But talking about the escape, I think this is so interesting. Casanova does end up going to prison in 1755, so he was about 30 years old. And this is the backside of one of the books I found, and I love this. It says, Europe's greatest adventurer thrown into an escape-proof prison for a crime he probably committed. The question is, which crime? So anyway, I think this is really lovely, but this is actually where he ends up being imprisoned, right?
This is Palazzo Ducale, yeah. And the jail are located under the roof, exactly on the last floor. We had a chance to shoot part of our VR video we have at the museum inside exactly the jail where Casanova has been jailed. Thanks to the municipality, they gave us authorization to go, and was an incredible experience because just imagine when was hot summer, it was impossible to breathe inside this small jail, even so low, let's say, that you cannot stand, because it was just the roof was just 1.60 meters, so you were obliged, like a punishment, to stay always sitting or laying. You cannot stand up completely, you know. So yeah, it was a very incredible visit about this jail and in Palazzo Ducale. And you know, Casanova was able to escape. But of course, everybody are sure, and me as well, he got some, let's say, some help, because it was not easy to do by himself everything. So somebody inside was able to help, and he was able to leave finally the jail.
This one is interesting because it actually gives us kind of a cut through Palazzo Ducale, and we see these, you know, two locations that were for the jail. So this was the lead, because the part of the roof was covered with lead, which would be very cold in the winter, very hot in the summer.
Yeah.
Really a hellish experience. But then even worse was actually if you were in the basement of Palazzo Ducale, where there were the pozzi or wells, because you would have the humidity of the water, all the rafts, and just, you know, this incredible, really incredible experience. But Casanova, I guess this is giving us a visual of it, and you have this in your museum, of the rooms of the pozzi, and how just, you know, people would actually, the prisoners would be able to walk a little bit from this area when they would have their outside time, which is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, if you see on the left is the, yes, this is the jail, exactly. You see how it's small, and the previous picture is exactly the internal of the jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, yeah. Look the door, how small it is. So you cannot enter standing normally. You need to put your head down and stay all the time like this.
Yeah.
And he was able to make a hole on the roof slowly, day by day, for a long, in order to get his escape.
And this is another view of the cell.
Yeah, this is always the jail.
This is lovely. It's one of the illustrations where he actually gets out on the roof, and he basically jumps right back into Palazzo Ducale and walks like any normal person out, correct?
Incredible.
I love this. He says, thus did God provide me with what I needed for an escape, which was to be a wonder, if not a miracle.
A miracle.
I admit that I'm proud of it, but my pride does not come from my having succeeded. for luck, had a good deal to do with it. It comes from my having concluded that the thing could be done and having had the courage to undertake it. What a cool guy. And then,
Very cool.
so I guess the escape from Palazzo Ducale really marks this life of someone who will be a globe trotter, moving from place to place, and I think really making his livelihood with his own wit, trying to come up with a national lottery in France. He really earns a lot of money, literally millions, but then he loses them in the silk trade. But this is a really cool map. I don't know, Carlo, if you agree, this is maybe a really
Yeah.
good one, showing us
No, it's a
what
map.
travels.
It's a map reproducing his travels. You see 65,140 kilometers is incredible to do by horses. It's really something really exceptional, and was really hard to move from one place to another one. I was not comfortable at all. But he was a big traveler. He arrived even in Russia, so it's amazing.
Yes, and even in Constantinople, I mean,
Yes, of course.
this really incredible man who I think was also probably just living on the coach and moving through these places. And he ends up, last part of his life, he actually ends up in Bohemia, working for the Count von Waldstein, where he ends up being kind of a second grade librarian, isn't it, for what, 30 years?
Yeah, but you know, unfortunately, in the period he spent there, he was already a bit old, of course, and a lot of people inside this palace, working for the count as well, were joking of him, you know, and was not treated in a very well manner, because he was. They knew the history of him, and they saw him old, so it was not a nice period for him. But you know, he was able anyway to keep good connection with important political person in France by letters. So was always active, maybe less with his body, let's say, with his life, but always active writing and communicating. And he finished his life in this palace, unfortunately, in 1798, 4th of June.
I think it's interesting that there was probably also a language barrier. He didn't speak German, which most of the people, he spoke 5 languages: Italian, Greek, Latin, French, and English, but there was no German. So I guess he was also a bit isolated because he couldn't really communicate with the people who were in the palace. And the Count was very often absent. So I think that probably gave him that time to actually write his book. And this is really cool. He said, I'm writing my life in order to laugh at myself, and I'm managing very well. I write 13 hours a day, and they fly past like 13 minutes. I'm enjoying myself because I invent nothing. What distresses me is the obligation I have at this point to conceal names, since I cannot divulge the affairs of others. And then this last slide is in the same castle in the Czech Republic, and this is, I guess, the chair where he died. Do you think this is true, Carlo?
No, I don't think it's true, because I understood by some collectors who lives in the area, and they say the original chair, it disappeared somewhere in some collection, private collection. They just reproduces the chair of the period, just to show where the point where he died. And the last words also are really important. If you want to read for your guest, are really very important.
Great God and all witnesses of my death, I lived as a philosopher and died as a Christian.
So it means everything, you know.
Yeah.
In a few words, he explained his life.
Yes. So, you know, Carlo, this is interesting. We know exactly where he died, but
Yes.
do we know exactly where he was born? I mean, there's so many theories about the location of his birth.
Yeah, there are many ideas, many addresses, let's say, but the most, let's say, important, where there are for sure more details, is, I told you, is Calle Malipiero today, which was Calle della Commedia, and was some apartment in this Calle, but was not possible to localize exactly which one, because there were few. So nobody know exactly which one, but everybody know is this Calle behind the Palazzo Malipiero.
Carlo, are you sure? Because I have heard that he was born actually in the theater, that his mother was an actress and gave birth to him in her dressing room.
Do you think so? You know, I have an idea in this case. But, you know, I have an idea in this case, just to delay all your doubts. I will ask directly to Casanova. What do you think about?
I don't know. I mean, can you?
Yes, I think I can. Casanova, are you there?
Well, hi, good evening or good morning, everybody. I mean, here in Venice, it's a bit late now. It's just about to, to get into my favorite period of the day, which is when the darkness haunts the city. And I was passing by and I heard you calling. So what was the question again? Sorry.
Where you have born, Casanova, because we have some doubts.
Well, I was born in Venice, darling. There's no doubt about it. It was the 2nd of April, 1725. I was actually born on the 3rd floor of a house in Calle della Commedia. But hey, let me introduce myself. I'm Giacomo Casanova. I came to this world with the passion of Venice in my blood. I grew up surrounded by pleasure, drama, comedy, music, and I soon learned how to seduce the violin and play the ladies. Ladies, of course, why not? What is love? You know, what is love? I was asked so many times, what is love? What is love? What is love? Love, it's a divine monster, an incurable illness. So there you have it. Giacomo Casanova, the greatest lovers, the world's greatest lover, a reputation for which I can only blame myself. But hey, a lawyer, a writer, student in medicine and philosophy, librarian, astrologist, physician, sometime musician, and a man that appreciates women. You see, whatever I've done in my life, good or bad, it has been done freely, gliding unconcerned on the stream of life and trusting to the wind, wherever it led. I am the first of 6 brothers and sisters, which I never had the time nor the happiness to get to know them well. And the same I must say about my parents. My father, Gaetano, and my mother, Zanetta, known as La Buranella, were both actors and performing on stage together here in Venice, which at the time was teeming with theatres. So at the age of 1, my mother decided she had already had enough of me, and she entrusted me to my grandmother, Marcia. Oh, my mother. You see, it was written in the stars. She should have been an actress and not a mother. My father died when I was 8. And I have to tell you, I was often sick at that age. And so my grandmother, Marcia, decided to take me to the doctor. And the doctor said, a change of climate will do good to this young boy's health. So I was sent to Padua to stay with Abbot Antonio Maria Gozzi, an extremely highly educated man. He taught me to read, to write. He made me appreciate Latin and Greek. And I used to spend hours in his exclusive library reading his books. Oh, I learnt a lot from him. And I learnt a lot from his beautiful sister, which at the time was 5 years older than I. Well, she was the first to, let's say, introduce me to the knowledge of a certain pleasure, which is the playing between sexes. Oh, my mother now performs regularly in the best of theatres in Europe. She hasn't got time for me. She pops to Venice from time to time, and I remember once she came in and she said, Giacomo, I don't like that beautiful wig. It's horrible. Take it off. No, I prefer the colour of your natural hair. So that's all she said to me before she enrolled me at the Faculty of Law in Padua. I loved studying, but chasing girls and spending money was much more enjoyable. And so, because I was living a life well above my means, my grandmother Marzia took me back to live in Carlo della Commedia and let me go to Padua only to take the exams. Well, at the age of 17, I graduated as a lawyer. Not bad, eh? Now, back in Venice, to contribute to the current expenses, I started to wear the cassock. But that was to be a very short-lived career, I must say. And, well, how to put it delicately, let's say that because one of my very little weaknesses, gambling, I found myself in debt pretty soon. And so the only way out was to get a job. And, well, oh, of course, clerical law under the Patriarch of Venice. But I didn't last very much. To put it delicately, let's say that my various passions brought a few scandals in their wake. So I was strongly advised to change air. I joined the Venetian regiment. You see, I traded the mantle for a uniform. And so, full of glory and hopes, we set forth to Corfu. Corfu. Gosh, it was so boring. I lost all my pay gambling. I had to come back to Venice. And when I came back to Venice, I paid all my commission to pay off my debts. Oh my God, what can I say? What could I do? I joined a theatre's orchestra. But hey, I was a young man, full of high spirits, and a young man in love with women, of course, and with a stupendous, unique, incredible city, Venezia. Oh my God, what a town, Venezia. So let your minds go free for a while and open your heart. I have something to tell you which you may or may not know. You see, Venice in my time was full of theatres, life, incredible stories, concerts, women. Oh yes, of course, women. I mean, in my life, I met many women. Everyone knows that. But what not many people know is that maybe I met one woman more than others. Henriette. Well, we met in Ticino, Henriette, if you're listening. I don't know if you're connected, dear Henriette, but, you know, I have to say to everyone that if anyone here believes that a woman cannot make a man happy 24 hours a day, well, he hasn't met Henriette. God. You were leaving your family. We met on a chariot. You dressed like an officer with a short haircut, and you were in disguise. You seemed to be in need of attention and care, and so I took very good care of you. Actually, I bought almost anything you need because you had nothing with you, and I bought clothes. I bought corsets. Actually, I spent a fortune on underwear. I remember that, and then I bought everything you needed. And then we moved to Parma in this room where we spent 3 months together, every single day together. I thought that was heaven. But then one day you decided that I was not the kind of man to stay with just one woman. And you left. You left. Without saying a word, just a little note, which I found on the table that morning. A note with one word. Adieu. Goodbye. Oh my God. Yes, probably I sinned, and I probably didn't always behave perfectly with women. Okay, I can take that. But believe you me when I say that against the two, I loved much more than what I was loved. Well, I sinned, and maybe I hurt some women. I beg your pardon. Please forgive me. Whatever I've done it with passion, loving every single moment of all the women I met. Maybe for some of those, I was just Casanova, a seducer, a man to show off with, a man to have an affair with. But it wasn't always the case, and it wasn't for me, that's for sure. There was a time when in Venice, masks were the great levelers. We were all obliged, in a way, to wear masks. Carnival lasted for 6 months, day and night, night and day. Masks. Yes, of course. How else could princes know what people thought about them? How else could the Doge spies keep track with what was going on? And how else could a man like me do things and get away from the back door without being recognized? Well, what can I say? Yes, probably, the people around the world think Giacomo Casanova should be, it's an erotic icon and stuff, but it's not really the case. It doesn't work this way. So, I hypnotized you now. You don't say a word anymore. Do you know what I think? I think that if you want to ask me something, probably this would be the best moment. Also because it's getting late and Carnival here in Venice has started. I mean, how Carnival could be a carnival without me? So if you want to ask me anything, I'm here, just for you.
Casanova, buonasera.
Buonasera.
I think all the ladies in the room are speechless. They were hoping and dreaming to meet you one day, but I didn't know it's going to be February 6th, 2021.
Well, there you have it.
We have so many interesting questions, I think, that came in, but I think what I would do is I would just invite everyone to unmute yourselves and please ask any questions you've been dying to ask Casanova or our guest, Carlo Parodi, today.
It makes me feel that I was born way too late.
But maybe we can start with a real round of applause for Casanova. Bravissimo.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay,
Thank you.
There is a question coming from Gwen. She says, after Casanova escaped prison at Palazzo Ducale, let's see, hold on, I saw it quickly.
Was he chased throughout Europe?
Was he chased throughout Europe by the law? How was he able to go back to Venice?
Well, the true story is it's quite simple. I was in the grace of some noble families here in Europe. And so it is true that they wanted to, well, the stories, let's cut a long story short. I was enrolled as a spy for the Venetian, army, and that was the only way I could come back. And this is what happened.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And Nabil is asking, was Casanova ever married? And were there any children?
Well, I tell you something, dear. I don't know who asked that. I was never officially married. Regarding the children, there are charts which shows an incredible increase in birth rates between the period of 1739, when I was a little bit, and 1784, 89. So probably, if you ask me if I had any children officially, no, but the chart, the European chart about birth growth speaks quite clearly.
Marianne is asking, how did he get down from the roof of that jail? So he was, to answer the question of Anne and Paulette, he was in Piombi, so he was on the roof of the Palazzo Ducale.
Well, I have to tell you, now, as the years go by, this legend gets bigger and bigger and bigger. If you've ever been to Venice and you noticed and you took a look at the Piombi prison, you spontaneously you come up with this question: oh my God, how did he come down from there? With a ladder? How did he do that? I want to keep this legend on, but between you and I never actually fell from the Piombi prison with a ladder or anything. The officers of the prisons were paid to let me go out. Of course.
Casanova, how was it to be running all of your life? I mean, you were running from the secret police, you were running from the church, you were running from jealous husbands. How did you do it?
With my legs at the time. I used my legs. I had very good shoes, and it was a matter of rhythm. I just got out before it got worse. This is really what happened. I mean, I'm pretty sure it happens today to a lot of different people, but they have cars today. But at the time in Venice, we had no horses, no chariots, just legs. You see, I was 187 centimeters tall, which was like Kobe Bryant at the time, Michael Jordan of the time. I was extremely tall for the average height. And let's put it this way. I knew things that people wanted to know. So I gave them the news deliberately, here and there, not too much here, not too much there. So for a lot of people, it was, they were better off to keep me alive than having me dead.
And tell me about how it was to live in the Bohemia. Were you bored there? Is that why you wrote your memoirs?
That's where I wrote the story of my life. 4,575 pages long book. I wrote them in French, actually, and it was then later translated in many other languages. Bohemian Rhapsody makes me think. It was quite nice, but I felt lonely. Not many women around. And the owner of the place, I thought, didn't play with my team at the time, if you catch my drift. So every time I went to bed, I just made sure I locked properly the door, but that's another story anyway. It was good, it was a good place, but I was too far away from Venice, which at the time in 1797 was conquered which is a big word, conquered by Napoleon. And I was so sad to hear that. I was, as I said, I was too far to contribute to any kind of opposing this oppressor. So it was a sad moment for Venice.
I know, and what an incredible victory for Napoleon. The Doge just gave him the keys of the city, isn't it? That is how weak Venice was.
Well, probably, probably the Venetian, the noble families here in Venice probably were happy it went that way. There was only one cannonball shot, and which it was from people from the Rialto Bridge, and that was the only thing, the only shooting really. We literally gave him the key, but now that's an old story.
Yeah. One of the ladies wants to know, Victoria wants to know, was your biography published during or after your death?
Oh, after my death,
Mm-hmm.
that's for sure. I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure it was published after my death. You see, actually, I'm a corpse. I'm dead. You see, hey, not bad for a dead man, hey. And no, it was published after I died, of course. Yes. So I didn't revise it.
Yes, I'm sure you would have made few revisions here and there, or at least do a different cover for the book. But that's a long story too, I guess.
That's another story as well. That's another story as well.
Casanova, if you are to choose, who were the best lovers? Were the nuns? I heard the story that you said the nuns made the best lovers. Is that true?
She was, well, I have to tell you, was none other than the wife, no, the daughter of the French ambassador to Venice during that time. And she was rich, she was extremely rich. So when she had to go back to, money, she chose that life rather than staying with an adventurer such as I was. The best lover, but Henriette was the love of my life. I tell you, when Henriette left, I was devastated. And then 3 months later, I received a letter. I was back in Venice, and I received a letter from Henriette. It was an incredible letter, because it's the kind of letter that no man would like to receive. Now, I remember some of the words. She said, if we ever get to meet each other again during a ball or a party, pretend we never met before. You see, I am sure that one woman for Casanova will not be enough, whereas I'm pretty sure I will never love anyone the way I loved you. That was heavy to digest. That's why I started to meet different women, and I got into a horrible routine, I have to tell you.
But that's why you were able to write the book, which was the bestseller. And actually, Neville from Philadelphia is asking, as the book was the bestseller, who received the money?
Not me. I died penniless. I was being hosted in this place, in Dukes, which is now in the Czech Republic. Not me. I haven't got a clue who got the money, to be honest with you. I think the publishers now keep making money out of what I wrote. To be honest with you, I'm very proud of the book I wrote. And, if Italy had been a little bit more, how can I say, Italians had been a little bit more, if they had the idea of looking forward and not always back to the past, they would have published that book centuries ago. Some people said that the way I wrote was the way people in the northern Italy would express later, after the famous Alessandro Manzoni came, you know, the Promessi Sposi. I don't know if you, that guy who, in a way, changed the way of speaking and writing within the Italian literature. How do you say that? Letteratura in Italian, literature, whatever. And my book was translated into Italian not long ago. It was 1985.
Wow.
And so the Italians have been deprived of such a beauty, in a way.
But the French have embraced you all the way. And they paid almost $10 million for your manuscript just 10 years ago. Wow.
Yes, I'm still waiting for the check, I have to tell you. They know I'm here in Venice. Just pass by, drop the check into the mailbox. I'd be happy to receive them. Yeah, I know that. The French, the English, the Americans came to like me before my compatriots, in a way, my countrymen. Life. I think I was just very envied, and that's probably the reason why there is so much, you know, prejudice about Casanova. You know, when you, it's funny when you talk about Casanova, people, you know, raise, you know, they go, oh yeah, oh Casanova, oh, and they think about you know, some traitor or, you know, porn movies or stuff like that, which has got nothing to do with it. That's got nothing to do with Giacomo Casanova, the man. If you wanted to create an scapegoat, okay, there you have it. But I was not. I was a talented man at the time, and that probably didn't go down very well amongst the society.
You're a man of the world. You're the globetrotter. You know, if you were, I can tell you, Katana, if you were around today, you probably would have millions of followers on Instagram who would be hanging on your every picture, on your every word. Because I know you have parties to go to. I mean, the Carnival is just starting in Venice today. Maybe last question from me, and then we can maybe have someone else come in and ask you if they have a burning question. But I think my last question is, if you can do it all over again, if you could go back, would you do it all over again, or would you change your life?
Well, all over again. Yes, of course. Of course. Every time I read the book, I relive my experiences and I rejoice them. So, yes, of course, I'll do it again. Slightly differently now, a little bit wiser, more mature, but yes, of course, I'll do that again. With a little bit more precautions, though.
Yes, the world has changed a lot since your time. Grazie.
Okay, oh, I've got the Doge over there. He's calling for my presence at the ball. So let me say thanks to all of you. Thank you very much for having me here, and I hope you enjoyed it, and have a great life and enjoy the carnival, even if it's on streamy. Grazie to you. Bye bye, everybody.
Grazie, Giacomo.
Bye.
Grazie.
Gonna have a series.
That was funny.
Did you, I think this was absolutely incredible. Carlo, if you are still here. Let's see if anyone has any questions for Carlo. Did we lose him? Oh, Carlo. Eccoti.
I think it was great, no? The interpretation of Davide, really interesting. I wanted to delete all of your doubts, so I think now you don't have any more. Listen, everything is more clear for you now.
It's really crystal clear. Thank you. And you know, I think having Casanova come in, which was thanks to you, Carlo, was the most wonderful gift. So grazie for that.
No. I'm very happy.
Holly is asking, does the government support the museum?
Unfortunately not, because as our actor before said, the Italians didn't like so much Casanova like other countries did, and in a smart way, I think. No, they didn't want for the moment. Probably in 2025, because we'll be a 300th, so 300 years of Casanova born. Probably they are going to do something, and probably we are going to cooperate together. But for the moment, no, everything was done privately, financially speaking, of course, me in principle, but also some other supporters, which they believed in the project, and also people who work inside, they decided to participate also, financially speaking, in this project. So it was everything done by our hands and our efforts.
Yes. Carlo, I see many messages here coming from people who cannot wait to go to your museum in Venice. And I will definitely, I will keep everyone posted, of course, when you decide to open. What do you think? What is your vision for the next year or so?
It's very difficult to predict, because you see every time here is happening something new. So, but I am sure about something, 100% sure. The beauty of Venice will never stop. And I'm sure it's an incredible city and will start to shine again very soon. So we need just to be patient and to resist. For the moment, nothing else. We need just to wait and to be patient in a better period.
Yeah. Well, you know, I can tell as someone who has been to your museum for coming back and again with my students and with people of all ages. It was absolutely delightful. And your Prosecco, Carlo. Can we talk about your Prosecco for a second?
Yes, of course. For bubbles, it's a bubbles moment. No, yes, because of course when I decided to do something with Casanova, I decided in the best way possible. So I started to produce a sparkling wine. I think everybody knows Prosecco, the Italian sparkling wine, and I branded Casanova. So it was a way to love Casanova in a different way with wine. So to enjoy the wine and to love him again. So we say I started in 2013, was a very good success, and we are distributed, not yet in US, probably will come soon, I hope, but we are closing a deal with Amazon, and probably will be available in Amazon soon. I will let you know, of course, when it will be. But yeah, it's very good to spend time with bubbles, drinking and smiling together and talking about Casanova. Yeah, so enjoy soon Prosecco Casanova, please, okay?
Carlo, any other, Anna is asking, in Italy, where can we find your Prosecco?
Yeah, I told you, at the moment is in Europe, of course, we have in Asia, some distributor in Japan, in China, but especially now is in Europe. Then I can give you the, maybe I will send you later the details where they could find online, and soon will be in Amazon. So let's keep waiting. Probably this month will be online. So everybody will be able to try it and to fall in love again with Casanova.
Yeah, very true. As far as your brand goes, Carlo, what is your next project? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, as you know, Paola, I deposited the brand of Casanova, and so I protected it. And after Prosecco, you know, I did a museum, I did a foundation, because we didn't mention, but I created also a foundation studying about this incredible character full of professors and collectors and experts of Casanova. And then now the next project, which is in progress, I create a collection of luxury underwear for men, because I think it's very important for men to feel more secure of himself. So I want to, thanks to this, to give more credibility, more security to a man, more a male, you know. So, but will be apart the jokes, will be something really beautiful. When we'll be ready, I will let you have. I'm wearing this underwear and swim pants as well, branded Casanova with a wax logo, wax emblem on the pants. So will be something interesting, and will be launched probably by next month in March.
Carlo, I didn't know if this news of the underwear made women or men more excited on our show.
For the moment, it's just for men, but who knows? Henriette was the most important lady for him. Maybe we will think about to do a collection for women branded Henriette. You never know.
Absolutely brilliant. Carlo, let's see if I know your time also is our time together is running out. But if anyone else has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and come in.
And Carlo, where do you live now?
At the moment, I'm in Milan. It's my city. I'm in Italy, and so I'm enjoying the time here, even if it's a bit cold. When I have time, I go in Venice, like I've been 2 days ago. And what's really sad to see this city empty, and was a bit foggy, so even frost feeling I had. But you know, I'm now actually in Italy, and I'm not moving for the moment. I'm just waiting better time.
Yes. Carlo. Let's see if anyone else wants to add any other questions.
I hope everybody enjoyed this time, because I think, Paula, you created and organized something really interesting. And thanks also support of Davide, which is an incredible character, interpreting Casanova. I really like him a lot. And so I hope everybody enjoyed. I'm asking all of you if you enjoyed, and even if it's not, we are not in a carnival, everybody in Venice, but we try to top up your mood and to dream a little bit about Casanova and his story.
Carlo, thank you. I hope I will have a pleasure of seeing you in Italy soon, and good luck with all of your projects. You have new fans now from this group, and we will keep in touch and we'll keep them informed.
I love all of them, because I know they love Casanova, so I love all of them. I love all of them. I embrace you. I embrace all of you from Italy. A very warm embracing. Okay. Take care. And keep in touch for the next time.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Carlo.
you.
And best of luck with all your projects. Grazie, everyone.
Bye, Paula.
Bye bye. Fabulous.
Thank you everyone for coming in. It was such a pleasure. I will see many of you in my Venice masterclass on Thursday. And then we have a guest that will talk about Luca della Robbia at the end of the month, the 27th of February. The Boston Art Museum curator will be with us, Marietta. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So see you all soon. A lot more happening this month.
Thank you, Paula.
Grazie.
Ciao, Paula.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.